I'm joined now by Sarah Miller, the Executive Director of the think tank American Economic Liberties Project. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. Now, we know President Trump has been banned from using his personal account, but in the last few minutes, he's tried to use his official POTUS account. He posted something. Twitter immediately took that down. This seems like it's becoming a game of cat and mouse.
It does seem like that. I mean, this is happening in real time. In addition to Twitter taking down his tweets from his official POTUS account, we see Google Play blocking access to kind of a right-wing social media site as well, and Apple threatening to do the same. So this is happening as we're talking, kind of unfolding in real time.
Let's step back a bit. Isn't America meant to be the land of the First Amendment in which free speech, however obnoxious, comes before censorship?
Well, I'll say this. Twitter is a private company. Facebook is a private company. Google and YouTube are private companies. They have the right to control what sort of content is on their platform. The problem here is much, much bigger than just Donald Trump and his obnoxious and frankly, extremely dangerous content. It is the fact that we now have kind of an internet ecosystem that is poison, that proliferates this sort of content well beyond just Donald Trump and creates these sort of conspiracy theory fueled ecosystems, the results of which we saw quite clearly on Wednesday at the Capitol.
Iran's spiritual leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has an English-language Twitter account. He recently posted, "Those who ordered the murder of General Soleimani, a general, as well as those who carried out this should be punished. This revenge will certainly happen at the right time." Couldn't this also be incitement? Why is that account staying up, Mr. Trump's account down?
Well, that's a good question probably to ask somebody at Twitter. I think the overall issue here is that these platforms, they can't and they shouldn't necessarily be the arbiters or the gatekeepers of speech online. Yet because they are so dominant, and Twitter, in fact, is not particularly dominant, although it is very politically influential, they, in fact, are that. And then going a step further, they profit from this type of kind of viral toxic content because it is so addictive and keeps eyeballs on advertisements. So that's really what policymakers here in the U.S. have to solve: the gatekeeping power of a handful of social media companies over the way that we communicate, and the fact that their profit motive is based on sensationalist, dangerous, and addictive content.
Let's look at the practicality of this. Will this move by Twitter and by other social media organizations stop President Trump from being heard?
No, not entirely, of course. There's many ways that he can communicate. He can communicate through the TV and Fox News, through other social media channels. He's still the president. There's no way to necessarily prevent Donald Trump from being heard at all. And I think, when we step back and think about the long-term impacts, do we want a handful of corporations kind of limiting, though, what political speech is acceptable and what isn't acceptable? Obviously, now we're in a really extreme situation, and that's the fault of kind of policymakers for allowing this sort of business model to exist in the first place and toxify our communications infrastructure. But in general, I think it just demonstrates what a dire situation we are in and how urgent it is that policymakers address it.
Mr. Trump, in this latest series of tweets, well, I don't know how many there were, actually, they've been deleted, has said he wants to build his own social media platform in the near future. Would that work?
Certainly conceivably, he could build and probably get financed some small conservative echo chamber. I think one of the things, though, that's important to point out is that Google and Facebook in particular, with Twitter taking a small slice, have created an environment in which it's impossible for new upstarts to really compete without some sort of kind of outside political funding that isn't reliant on turning a profit. So, it would only kind of contribute to the dystopian, dysfunctional nature of our communications ecosystem. But, essentially a platform that's competing on privacy or competing, on some other range of factors that are better for society or healthier for democracy can't really take root right now.
Sarah Miller,
that's a big part of the problem.
I'm so sorry for jumping in. Sarah Miller, thanks so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.